Just jump right in. Just let it flow. Who cares? You don't have to be logical. You don't have to be strategic. Just let it go. Let it flow. Because that's what the movies are saying. That's what secular world is saying. Now you're dealing with somebody that you never really liked for the rest of your life because there's a child. And then there could be all kinds of things that unfold. These are some things that need to be discussed and thought about before getting into a relationship. This is a marriage channel and I want to promote marriage. Hi, wives and future wives. I just want to encourage you to click the affiliate Amazon link in my bio. There you can find books that are going to help you on your wifehood journey. I'm telling you, it's going to help change your mindset. It's going to help you on your femininity journey as well. Listen, click the link and get those books so you can soar and thrive on your quest to being the wife God has called you to be. Because remember, the wife is not just a married woman under the law, but she is a mindset. God bless. Hi, wives and future wives. I want to talk about the Keke Palmer situation. I did a video that wasn't too fond of Keke Palmer on my channel before. And when the whole situation about what she wore to the Usher concert came out, I was actually in support of her now ex-boyfriend, who was basically saying that he did not approve of what she was wearing. I still to this day do not believe that there is anything wrong with a man telling a woman that he is in a serious relationship with, hey, I don't really like what you're wearing. Can you change? That's inappropriate. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people are using what happened then as evidence of what has been found out to be happening now. And that is that Darius Jackson allegedly has been very abusive to her. Some stills came out that Keke Palmer had security footage in her home, and it looked like Darius Jackson was abusing her, hitting her, very violent with her and aggressive with her. And so she got a restraining order against him and it was granted. And she also has full custody of their child together. One thing I want to say is, although I was pretty critical about Keke Palmer in the past, I do not wish domestic violence and abuse on anyone at all. I think it's wrong. I think it's sad. And I think the person that is truly suffering the most from this is the child. The child did not ask to be here. The child did not ask to come through the world in this fashion with his family in the way that it is. And he doesn't deserve any of that. But unfortunately, before the child is even 1 year old, now he is not going to be able to see his father probably for a very long time, or at least in the beginning, without much supervision. And that's no one's fault really but Darius, because he was not able to control himself and keep his hands off of Keke. But also, I want to tell you why this whole situation, the domestic violence, the broken family, the single motherhood, all of that is a case for marriage. If you look up the stats show that children who come from a two-parent married home where the biological parents are together are less likely to experience and witness violence at the hands of their parents, or their parents being violent towards each other. They're less likely to report any kind of abuse in the home. Also, women and men who are married are less likely to report being abused or abuse. It's a very, very low percentage. Women who are single mothers actually have the highest percentage of abuse. And children who come from single parent homes or single mother homes are more likely to say they have witnessed abuse or they've been abused themselves. So a lot of the stats show that doing things God's way, once again, will benefit not only your children, but your marriage and each other. There's less likely to be physical abuse or violence of any kind in a married household. The Black community has some of the highest domestic violence rates on the books. And I think it's very important to realize that when we bring children into a situation where there is a broken home already, bringing a child into the world without that child experiencing marriage between the mother and the father is already a recipe for disaster if you look at the stats, and it's already a broken family. We have to consider how our children are being brought into the world. We have to consider how children need to be raised. And sometimes in this selfish world that we're living in, I think we just consider what we want, how we feel, and what everyone else is doing. It's okay to be a single mother in society. It's okay to just mess around And we don't realize the repercussions that we're sowing into our children who come here and they didn't want to be here, but you decided to bring them into this world in a broken family. That is already doing a disservice to them. So what happened to Keke Palmer is sad, but what's really happening to that child is even worse. The fact that the child is not even 1 year old and is already separated from his father for however long that may be, and basically growing up having to know that his father was abusive. It's just a lot going on. And so I feel for him. And so I think that we really need to consider, especially if we want to have children, we need to consider what's going to be best for our children. And statistically, being married is going to be best for them. I've said so many times that children who grow up in a two-parent married household are more likely to go to college, graduate from high school, have a stable career, get married themselves. They're less likely to be in poverty. They're less likely to commit crimes and go to jail or prison. They just do better in society. And we need more of that, especially in the Black community, because there are so many broken homes. And then when it comes to domestic violence, they are less likely to experience domestic violence. They are less likely to experience their mother hitting their father or their father hitting their mother or all of the arguments and crazy turmoils. It's just statistically less likely to happen. And so if you want your children to be raised in an optimal environment, and if you yourself want to be safe, it's best to do it in a two-parent married household, because women who are married are less likely to report abuse, and men who are married are less likely to report abuse, although it does happen, just not as much. I want to just even expound on that. If you are shacking up with your boyfriend or shacking up with your girlfriend, you are still more likely to experience domestic abuse than if you were actually married. And so these are some things that need to be discussed and thought about before getting into a relationship, especially if you know you want children. Relationships are serious. I just keep saying children because I feel like sometimes we don't realize how important it is for children to grow up in the right environments. And sometimes we can be so busy and so focused on ourselves that we don't see that. And so that's really what I want to say is what happened to the child in this situation is very, very sad. And I feel bad for the child. And I think it could have been avoided. I think a lot could have been done to avoid the situation. More vetting could be done. Now, I don't know how they got together, how long they knew each other before they were intimate, how long they knew each other before they started dating officially or before they even had the child. I don't know all of that, but I do know that there is usually a process that can be done to make sure that you as a woman are vetting this man to make sure that he is the right one and vice versa. And I just think in our culture, a lot of times we don't do the right process. We don't do things God's way to do it in a way where we can really get to know someone, really vet, bring that person around our families for them to give their opinion as well. Really do our background check, pray and ask God, is this who I need to be with? It's just a process. I think so much because of our culture and movies and all this stuff that shows us you got to have a spark, you got to have a connection, just let things flow. You don't have to think about things. But then if you do it that way, a lot of times you have unplanned pregnancies, you have STDs. And so again, it's unfortunate what happened to this family. It's more unfortunate what is happening to this child. And I just think that if you want to have the optimal experience, be married, because I believe that when someone gets married, you have done the due diligence. A lot of times when you're shacking up, a lot of times when you're just having kids out of wedlock, you're not doing the necessary vetting that you need to do to make sure that this person is the right one for you. Sometimes you're just being moved by feelings, lust, desire. You're hot and heavy. That person is saying the right things, doing the right things, seems to be nice, but there's not a real deep investigation to who they are. But I believe that the thing that separates married couples is that marriage is such a serious thing. And if it doesn't work out, I mean, you have to split assets and there's just way more to lose in a marriage. You could lose your kids, you could lose your assets, you could lose so much when it comes to losing a marriage. And so I think people who are married really try to take their time to vet and get to know the other person before they just jump right in. You know, it's really unfortunate that that is what it is. But I just want to let you know, take the time to vet someone and consider marriage. Let's not play with your children and let's not play with yourself. Consider marriage and doing things God's way. Consider subscribing to my channel. More content updates coming very, very soon. God bless.